Today we're looking at a fairly new RPG, Disco Elysium, a game developed by a small Estonian developer, Zaum. The team was led by head writer and designer Robert Kurvitz, and the team consisted of 8 writers. The amount of writers on the team makes sense when you get into this game. If you're looking to get into Disco Elysium, be prepared to read a lot. To give you a little more background on the game, the universe was created during a tabletop game, and the creator has even written a book in the same universe as well. He plans to build around this one universe and not create outside of it. This is the beginning stages of a world being built. If you're interested, the book for this is called Sacred and Terrible Air, written in Estonian, with an English translation being made and hopefully published in the second half of 2020. Now let's talk about Disco Elysium itself. And this will be difficult for me, as it is a very story-driven game and almost all of my footage is of reading story. It's not very exciting and it's full of spoilers. I'm trying to avoid showing as much of the dialogue as I can, though I will show some examples of the dialogue to show my points, so be warned if you don't want any of the story spoiled. Disco Elysium is a fairly unique game. It's an isometric RPG which we've seen plenty of, but the difference is there's no combat, it's all dialogue based. It almost makes it a fusion of an adventure game and an isometric RPG. So the only way to make this game work is to have good writing. And as I mentioned before, the game had a team of writers and an author heading it all. So luckily for the game, we have wonderful writing, and therefore we got a great game in the process. The game immediately drew me in. In the first 30 minutes of playing the game, it had me laughing harder than I've ever laughed playing an entire game before. The laughs did die down after that, as I started taking the story a bit more serious at that point, but if I went a different path, that may have changed for me. Let me give you some idea what the story is about as well. As I mentioned, this takes place in the creator's own world, and the entire game takes place in the world city of Revachol, specifically in one district of the city, Martinaise, the poor area full of criminals and drugs all around you. You wake up in a hostel with a "you have amnesia" trope we've seen many times before, including Planescape Torment, a game I feel they drew heavy inspiration from. Though you quickly learn from the first person you speak with that you are a detective sent to the area to investigate a murder. From there you meet your new partner, from a different district, and you get right into the case of the hanging man in the backyard, which, as any good cop would have, he left hanging there for a week.
So the body is still in the tree.
On your journey, you'll have plenty of dialogue options to determine what kind of cop you will be, and there's a wide variety of paths you can take. It gives the game a lot of replayability. You'll quickly find you have the ability to get anyone to talk, even though they seem to hate you. Every character becomes the embodiment of exposition. This feels a bit odd, how you can just get everyone to tell you everything ever, but it's well written and keeps you engaged. It keeps pulling you along. Thanks to this though, the game is basically an entire book, so prepare to read, and read, and read. Of course, the game also contains RPG and gameplay elements within it. The skills in the game are different parts of your brain. You will be able to go through 24 skills of varying usefulness. There are a lot of skills I'm not entirely sure what they did. Some skills that gave you hints, and some were integral to skill checks. You learn as the game goes on. Honestly, it feels like it's almost impossible to lose in this game. You can run out of health, but I never once game over the entire 26 hours of time I spent with it. Most skill checks can be retried once you raise the appropriate skill, though there were a few that can't be, so you have to be careful. As you travel through the game, it's important to search and evaluate everything you can find. The game helps you out by highlighting important objects by pressing tab. You will go around from person to person trying to find clues and finding ways to get the characters to tell you everything. You get that real detective feel to yourself, and you can really choose the way you want to go and how you want to play. So that brings me to one of the few flaws I found in the game. As you talk to everyone, you find a lot of red herrings. You are led to feel certain things are important and they become irrelevant. However, my biggest complaint is the movement. You have to click to move anywhere, which is normal. However, to run you have to double click. There is no reason to not run everywhere, so I found myself just constantly clicking my mouse to get anywhere. The game really needs an always run option. I don't know if I ever clicked my mouse so much for a game before this one. Overall though, I love this game. From the voice acting to the writing and the watercolor art style. I was invested and time flew by constantly as I was drawn more and more into the story. I really recommend you should play this game. If constant reading sounds up your alley, you shouldn't miss this. I also want to talk about the ending of this game, so I'm going to put up a major spoiler warning. However, before we get to that, I do want to mention, if you love talking about games, I have my own Discord channel up, which you could join from the description below. We are doing a featured game of the month, where we all play and discuss the same game each month, so please join in. Alright, here's your warning. Please stop this video now if you do not want spoilers and plan on playing this game yourself. Stop here, and come back after you finish the game. Do not continue past this point. Okay, so everyone probably left. But holy hell, that ending was a massive red herring, just like I complained about earlier. Everything in this game was a damn red herring, even the ending. The solution was going to be found no matter what. It feels like the killer was just a random homeless guy no one ever knew about the whole game. The ending just feels like a letdown after hours of amazing writing. I didn't hate the ending. It followed the rest of the game's style. Red herring, then exposition, followed by even more expositions. It does take a little away from the game, but I still loved it and highly recommend this game. I hope you all enjoyed my review of Disco Elysium. As always, if you want, I have more content in my backlog and more coming in the future, so thanks for stopping by.